Part 98. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 995. After several hours of melee, the angel legions had rotated several times. Despite this, there were still sporadic angel warriors who accidentally fell into the melee with the beast warriors. However, the new Shima Empire also paid millions of casualties for this, and the battle-loss ratio between the two sides reached a terrifying 10,000 to 1. Even though the Tiangong side overestimated the combat effectiveness of the border guard angels as much as possible, they were still stunned by this. But this only strengthened Hua Ye's plan to use cannon fodder to consume the energy of the border guard angels. For this reason, he specially allocated a batch of god-killing armor-piercing bullets assisted by Karl to the Shima Empire. Tell the people below to fire with all my strength and don't let their shields have a chance to breathe. More warships joined in the bombardment of the Angel Guard base, and even the Star Destroyer strikes were launched frequently, but they were all intercepted by the Angel Guard weapons that had been prepared in advance. So the greatest pressure came to the new Shima Empire. Although millions of soldiers were injured and killed, which made the Shima Empire feel distressed, but for them with an army of hundreds of millions, it was far from being a pain. Bone. Therefore, in order not to be killed by Hua Ye and to take back their rights, the top brass of the Shima Empire began to mobilize troops even more frantically for a landing battle. Around the Angel Guard base, chains of fire shot towards the palace of the Angel Guard base, leaving scorched black scars on the exterior walls with gorgeous carvings, but this was also the limit of what the beast warriors could do with the weapons in their hands. A beast warrior had just rushed out of the landing cabin. Feeling the anxious battlefield atmosphere, he roared to cheer himself up and followed the dense crowd of companions around him to charge forward. In the blink of an eye, a scorching sword energy hit him, and he was the only one left. The lower body is still subconsciously running forward. He cut off the oncoming beast warrior in half with one sword. Feeling the approaching heat energy behind him, he raised his left arm to block the thermal arm blade struck by the beast warrior. Without looking, the border guard angel warrior flicked the hand holding the sword hilt, smashing the beast warrior's helmet and head away, leaving only the headless body falling backwards. But at this moment, several more beast warriors surrounded them, and then the muzzles of their guns emitted a dazzling light. Seeing this, the angel guarding the border quickly raised her head to protect her face. The next moment, a blue microbeam hit her body and exploded into balls of light the size of a wash basin, burning her armor and body. The animal warriors who saw this shooting suddenly became excited. If they could kill a noble angel, they would no longer have to be small soldiers, but could become big shots, so they shot even more vigorously. Seeing this, more beast warriors joined in from around. But suddenly a hand reached out from the flames formed by the continuously exploding energy beams and grabbed the muzzle of a beast warrior. Then an irresistible pulling force came from the weapon in his hand, and the beast body warrior suddenly turned into a cannonball, knocking away several companions on the opposite side. Then there was another flaming sword energy in the shape of a waning moon, breaking through the energy flames and cutting off all the beast warriors who were firing on one side. Seeing this, the remaining beast warriors all had expressions of horror on their faces, and all the previous assumptions in their minds disappeared. Before they could get away from each other, the angel guarding the border who had been unilaterally pouring firepower for so long withstood the beam bombardment, inciting the angel wings to rush in front of a beast warrior, and crushed him hard among the beast warriors. Create a flesh and blood passage. People who have never seen it can never imagine that an angel who is praised as a symbol of justice, a defender of order, and a beautiful incarnation in the known universe has such a violent and bloody side. The broken flesh and blood armor, the flying blood, combined with the white wings that symbolize holiness, together create a shocking scene. Of course, time will not stand still, and there is no existence that can preserve this scene. The angel guarding the border, who opened a gap among the beast warriors, quickly flew towards her sister. Otherwise, Her already damaged body would be in danger of falling if she was entangled. Although the angel's body is powerful and can even ignore the energy bullets fired by the guns in the hands of the beast warriors to a certain extent, it will eventually suffer losses. When the damage accumulates to a certain level, even the body of an angel can no longer maintain its own toughness, and the super gene will be unable to maintain the defensive force field throughout the body due to lack of energy. Although the angel's body is still powerful at this time, he can no longer ignore the energy weapons, and his body will be burned by the ultra-high temperature attached to the energy weapons. In addition, there are also snipers equipped with god-killing armor-piercing bullets hidden among the beast warriors, who specialize in targeting injured angel warriors on the battlefield to attack. This is also the reason why hundreds of border-guarding angels have been lost. When the time came to the third day, Tiangong felt that the war of attrition was almost over, and finally sent some elites into the battlefield. The Tianding people were the leaders and elite warriors of the beast body civilization in the physical war tens of thousands of years ago. Although they were conquered by Huaye, they still have some pride of their own. Compared to the beast warriors of the Shima Empire who use firearms and wear power armor, the Tianding people are equipped with more retro heavy armor and only carry heavy weapons such as heavy axes or long slashing knives. Although their appearance and social atmosphere resemble the cold weapon civilization that has not yet entered the pre-nuclear era, the physical strength of the Tianding people is extremely abnormal. If some living examples had not appeared, no civilization with the Shenhe technology system would have been able to think of a civilization that did not rely on technology. The physical body of living things can also evolve to the extent that it can survive in the vacuum of the universe. As soon as the Tianding stars entered the battlefield, the guarding angels felt a bit of pressure, because the Tianding stars were different from the animal warriors of the Shima Empire, and some of them were capable of wrestling with ordinary angels. But fortunately, Tianding stars and angels have the same problem, that is, the population base. At the same time, not every Tianding star can grow up to the point where they can compete with angels. But these Tianding people who were mixed with the Shima Empire army still caused some casualties to the border guarding angels. The battlefield that had not been advanced for a long time, with the addition of the Tianding stars, actually began to push towards the palace where the border guard angel base was located. Seeing this scene in the void projection, Huaye, who was sitting in his flagship, was very happy. He said to the people below, "Look, the female angels are not as powerful as the legends say. I didn't even use the angel army, but defeated them step by step." The male angel generals below watched the projection of the female angels fighting with great interest, commenting from time to time. The emperor of the new Shima Empire, who was at the end of the queue in the palace, had a heavy look on his face, because the people who died in the picture were all his people, and he couldn't be happy no matter what. The king of Tianding stars on the side is quite satisfied with the performance of his people, because they have given him a face, and his weight in the Hui group has also increased in disguise. In this way, in the future, you won't have to do some dirty work in a civilized way, such as being the vanguard cannon fodder to die this time. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 996. While Huaye and a group of angels were still discussing the battle loudly, a communication popped up. Seeing this, Huaye stopped his laughter and raised his hand slightly to signal everyone present to be quiet. "What's the matter?" "Report to King Huaye, there is news from the Styx River that the first wave of reinforcements from the Merlot Heavenly Court is about to arrive, and the other party asked us to prepare for the attack. The other party also said that the Shenayun plan is about to begin, so we must hold back the reinforcements from Merlot Heavenly Court and don't let them cause trouble." After listening to the report of the male angel in the projection, Huaye waved his hand to indicate that the other party could hang up. "This kid Carl is finally planning to take action. I thought he was afraid." Huaye stood up from his throne and began to pace back and forth. His mood could not be calm for a long time, and his body even trembled a little. This was not fear, but excitement. Hua-Ye's heart was filled with excitement as long as he thought of the benefits that Karl's Godfall plan would gain if it succeeded. But Hua-Ye soon withdrew from this state, suppressed all the emotions in his heart, and said to his subordinates, "You should all have heard that the reinforcements from Merlo Heaven are about to arrive. I order you to trap them here no matter what the cost. As long as the Godfall project succeeds, the known universe will be at our mercy." Although the angels and representatives of the Titan Protoss, the Emperor of the Shima Empire, and the King of Tianding Star below did not understand the meaning, they also knew that their king was brewing a great plan. At the same time, in the Melo Heavenly Stargate Dispatch Center, a figure was recognized by the angel on duty as soon as he walked out of a Stargate. His Excellency the Heavenly Sword King. Hearing this, Binghua nodded towards the angels who were saluting. Looking at the groups of angels hurriedly passing by in the air, Binghua felt that the atmosphere was abnormal. What's going on? Why do I feel like there are so few angels in Merlo Heaven? Binghua cannot connect to Kaisha's treasure house of sacred knowledge at the moment, and cannot even use the Eye of Insight. Most of its computing power comes from the computing core in the body and the remote support of Samilo, so it does not know the current situation of Merlo Heavenly Court. The angels on duty looked at each other, and one of them said aloud, "Your Excellency, King of Heavenly Sword, not long ago the ancient evil god Hua-Ye led an army to invade the star field on the edge of the Order of Justice. The Fringe Star territory is in emergency. Queen Kesha has summoned the Angel Legion and is preparing to support the angels guarding the border." Binghua frowned when she heard this. She didn't listen too carefully to the rest of the words, but the name Hua-Ye immediately brought back her memories. "Kesha, why didn't Hua-Ye contact me when he invaded the Order of Justice?" Binghua asked Kesha as soon as she saw him. She hated Hua-Ye very much and had always wanted to get rid of this cancer that affected the minds of male angels. "I asked He-11 not to tell you, because the power of Merlo Heaven can solve this matter. It's time to take this opportunity to let the new generation of angels know what enemies we angels have to face." Kesha stood up from the throne and looked down at Binghua, who was staring up at her, and said in a deep voice, "Kesha, you are taking a risk. Hua-Ye alone does not have the courage to attack the Order of Justice. Karl must be behind it. Hua-Ye's attack this time is probably just a bait. He wants to take the opportunity to evaluate the strength of Merlo Heavenly Court. If the performance of Merlo Heavenly Court this time cannot make him feel afraid, then the known universe will not be as peaceful as it is now." Binghua's meaning is very clear. The angel civilization has been sitting at the top position in the universe for too long, giving many civilizations the illusion that angels are invincible. Although the angel civilization is indeed very powerful, and no civilization in the known universe can compete head-on with the angel civilization, as long as the angels show a hint of fatigue, they will lose the ability to suppress the known universe. Because the enemies of angels will find out that angels are not so unstoppable. Angels can also be defeated and killed. When the time comes, they will unite. At that time, the angelic civilization will be in the most dangerous situation. Although Binghua is also happy to see the new generation of angels being trained, she will not take risks. She will keep the situation under her control. But now it is obvious that Kesha cannot control the overall situation at all. Styx is always a bomb that cannot be defused and may explode at any time. The best solution now is to use all your strength to kill Hua-Ye, who is the first person, and tell those guys with ulterior motives that angels are not something you can provoke. If you don't believe it, just jump out and try." Kesha took a long breath and then said, "I can't find a way to completely eliminate Karl for the time being, so I can only put him where I can see him and stare at him. But he is very calm. I know what he has been planning, but I can't figure out the details. The information is too little, so I need to make some changes to let him reveal some flaws. That's why I will mobilize the Angel Legion to support the border guard angels first, and I will take the Sacred Wings and the Marrow Guard to follow the reinforcements of the affiliated civilization to the Border Guard General Base. Kesha only said half of it, but Binghua immediately understood Kesha's plan. Are you going to use yourself as bait? That's right, since Karl chose to let Huaye be the leader, let Merlot Heaven move. Then why can't I use the trick to trick him out of his trump card? He doesn't know that I will bring the Merlot guards with me. A faint smile appeared on Kesha's face. The Merlot guards were the most hidden trump card of the Merlot Heavenly Court and were almost never exposed to the outside world. No matter what Karl's plan is, the nearly 1,000 high-level angels in the Merlot guard are enough for the opponent to drink a pot. This power is enough to destroy an advanced god-making civilization. I see, it's good that you know what's going on. Seeing that Kesha had already made a plan, Binghua couldn't say anything more. After all, the other party was the King of Angels, and now she was considered an outsider. Then this time I will go with you to support the angels guarding the border. I miss Huaye very much, especially the feeling of fists hitting him. Kesha nodded and agreed to follow Binghua. After all, there was an Angel King level fighting force in the team out of thin air, so why not? Kesha could already imagine the surprised expression on Karl's face at this moment. When the second batch of reinforcements from Merlot Heavenly Court were assembled and started to set off, the first batch of reinforcements, the Skyblade Fleet, finally arrived on the battlefield. As the Skyblade Fleet jumped out of the super-large wormhole that was opened, the Tiangong Group army felt a pressure coming on them in an instant, even if they had an absolute advantage in strength. Because all the civilizations present have experienced the power of the Skyblade, and they have all had the experience of being chased by the Skyblade and running around in the universe. Only the Titan fleet of the Titan Protoss, apart from the Tiangong flagship, has a record of direct confrontation with the Skyblade. Although it still failed in the end, it could at least compete with the Skyblade battleship and not break into pieces at a touch. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 997. Although the strong appearance of the Heavenly Blade has put great pressure on the Tiangong Group's army, the purpose of their expedition is to break into the Angel Nebula, overthrow the righteous order established by Merlot Heavenly Court, and re-establish the order of the Tiangong Palace. Therefore, although they were afraid, under the urging of their superiors, the huge fleet group of Tiangong Group still moved towards the Tianren fleet. The Skyblades also spread out slightly, and the 5 Skyblades were all fired up, like interstellar fortresses standing in the void of the universe, spraying bursts of beam barrages. Occasionally, there was a Star Destroyer strike, which destroyed all the beast-shaped battleships in a straight line. In just a short time, the Beast Civilization fleet suffered huge losses, and saw that his younger brother, cannon fodder, could not stop the Skyblade's advance and bombing. Huaye was anxious. He didn't want Tianren and the Border Guard Angel base to converge. Otherwise, the other side would have a stable stopping point for attack and defense, and they would be the ones who would suffer. So the Titan fleet and Tiangong flagship, which had been carrying out fire suppression, pushed forward. The Tiangong flagship charged forward, while the Titan fleet was a little afraid of the Skyblade's jumps and was always ready to evade, so it was a bit grinding. After all, the Titans are not Huaye's subordinates and have not been controlled by Huaye, so they will not be the first to rush forward if something is too dangerous. So several Tiangong flagships went up and started a passionate exchange of fire with Tianren, but anyone with a discerning eye could see that the Tiangong flagship was no match for Tianren. Because the Tiangong flagship model is too old, and its design is still tens of thousands of years old, both in terms of firepower and shields, it is too behind compared to the Skyblade. If the Tiangong flagship hadn't been huge enough, it would have been blasted into cosmic debris by the Skyblade. Fortunately, With the cover of the Titan fleet and the Tiangong flagship's retreat from time to time, it was finally ensured that it was not destroyed. Hua Ye, who was watching the battle, was even more excited. These antique ships were his power to intimidate the many animal civilizations under his command. If they were destroyed by the Merlot Heavenly Court, it would be difficult to lead the team in the future. But at the same time, Hua Ye is also very clear-headed. As long as he survives this time, the road will be smooth in the future, and the future will belong to him. The commander-in-chief who led the Heavenly Blade fleet to come to support was Angel Nishang, a veteran angel who had fought with Kesha from the war between male and female angels. After the overall situation of Angel Nebula was decided, he served as the commander of the angels guarding the border, and finally he was responsible for the defense and inspection work in Merlot Heaven. This time the starfield on the edge of the Order of Justice was in an emergency. Yan did not have much experience in leading a large army in combat, and the opponent was Hua Ye. Only then did Kesha let Angel Nishang come out and serve as the commander of the Sky Blade fleet. Although Kesha didn't think much of Hua Ye, the other person was caring about his life, not stupid. A young man like Yan might accidentally fall into his trap. For the safety of the Edge Star field, Kesha kept Yan by her side and sent experienced Nishang as the commander. Nishang, who served as the commander-in-chief of the Tianren fleet, naturally saw the purpose of the Tiangong fleet, but as a commander with rich combat experience, she did not blindly let the fleet continue to advance, but simply used the trick and was not in a hurry to fight with the angel guarding the border. The bases converged. Instead, 5 sky blades were used to form a battle formation, parked in place, fully deploying the space-time deflection shield, and fighting against the approaching Tiangong fleet to reduce the pressure on the angels guarding the border. The result was gratifying. The pressure on the angels guarding the border was immediately reduced a lot, because the fleet originally used to bomb them was used to block the Sky Blade fleet. Although the Tiangong group was losing strength every moment, it still successfully built a line of defense to block the advancement of the Tianren fleet. If Tianren chooses to make a short distance jump over the defense line, the Tiangong flagship and Titan ship waiting for the opportunity will let the angel know the consequences of blindly making a space jump on the battlefield. The first wave of reinforcements to support the Edge Star field, the Sky Blade fleet fell into a quagmire of bitter fighting. It was unable to have any decisive impact on the battle situation until it caused a certain degree of damage to the Tiangong army. The Angel Nebula, the Marrow planet system, and the originally quiet space regions have become busy during this time. Fleets and transport fleets from various affiliated civilizations shuttle back and forth. As the armies of the affiliated civilizations gradually converged, the space region where the second batch of reinforcements was placed in the Marrow Star region actually became a little crowded. Seeing that the coalition forces were almost there, Merlot Heaven finally eliminated the overlap of time and space, and Merlot Heaven's true form began to appear. The originally empty Marrow galaxy was close to the star. An extremely huge continent with several satellite cities around it slowly emerged from the void. Immediately, a heavenly blade, which was larger than the same type and decorated with some golden patterns on the hull, left the docking port of Merlot Heavenly Court and came to the coalition forces. It was Kesha's flagship Sky Blade. This time Kesha only brought the Merlot guards and some angel warriors to guard the Sky Blade, and did not use the last defense force of the Merlot Heavenly Court. The commanders of various affiliated civilizations also received a message that the second batch of Justice Order reinforcements had been assembled and were about to quickly arrive at the Edge Starfield battlefield through the Stargate. Immediately, several prismatic floating bodies around the mellow heavenly court broke away from their orbits and emitted blue energy to connect to everything in front of the Justice and Order Alliance, building a giant Stargate. The Skyblade took the lead and sailed towards the Stargate, followed by the huge joint fleet of the Order of Justice. It was not until all the coalition forces of the Order of Justice flew in that the Stargate dissipated and returned to the orbit near the Merlot Heavenly Court. Standing on the balcony on the second floor of the temporary palace of the King of Angels on the Skyblade, Binghua's sight was filled with streams of blue energy that were constantly sweeping backwards. The entire Justice Order coalition is sailing towards the edge of Justice Order starfield at an extremely terrifying speed. It will take less than 3 days to reach the edge of Justice Order starfield from Marrow Heaven. When the time comes, I must chop off that guy Huaye's head, so that he won't be like a weakling who jumps out to make people disgusting when nothing happens. Of course, all this is based on the condition that no accident occurs, but Binghua is not too worried, because in addition to the Merlot guards, there are 2 angel kings and 3 divine wings on board the Sky Blade. A battle angel. On the second day of the voyage, when they were about to approach the edge starfield, the edge of the solid Stargate passage suddenly changed, as if a hole had been torn open by something. Half of the coalition forces were caught off guard and were sucked directly into the gap and disappeared into the Stargate passage. Faced with this situation, Kesha immediately spoke up to stop the commotion within the coalition forces. After confirmation from the Merlot Heavenly Court, the coalition fleet that was sucked into the rift only fell into the main biological universe from the Stargate channel and did not encounter any danger. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 998. After confirming that the disappearing coalition fleet was not in danger, everyone breathed a sigh of relief, except Kesha and Binghua. It seems that Carl has taken action and interfered with the Stargate passage. This is not something that ordinary God-making civilizations can do. Binghua looked at the gap behind the coalition forces and said, "It seems that he doesn't want us to reach the front line smoothly like this. In this case, we might as well see what cards Carl is prepared to play." Keisha ordered the Marrow guards on the Sky Blade to be prepared, as they might encounter danger at any time. Afterwards, the coalition forces were not given much time to breathe. Successive gaps appeared in the originally stable Stargate channel. The huge suction force pulled the coalition fleets into the cracks and disappeared without a trace. The originally large-scale reinforcements were quickly diverted by the cracks in the Stargate passage, and only the Sky Blade and a small number of surrounding coalition warships were left. The next moment, the Sky Blade was sucked in by the crack that suddenly appeared on the side, and the surrounding scenery changed instantly, from the blue Stargate passage to the cosmic space where the main biological universe is located. The Sky Blade immediately propped up its own space-time deflection shield, and several scattered coalition warships around it hurriedly approached the Sky Blade. "Where are we now?" Kesha frowned and asked. Angel Yan, who was standing below, used his eyes of insight to scan the surrounding star field information and locate it through Kesha's treasure house of sacred knowledge. Reporting to Queen Keisha, "We are no longer within the scope of the Justice Order, but are in the barren cosmic belt between 2 large galaxies." "I see. No wonder the physical light energy in this area is so weak." Kesha was just feeling the ubiquitous light energy in the universe, which is a collection of stellar radiation, which is one of the most abundant energies in the universe. But it is obvious that the nearest star in this deserted area is more than 1,000,000 light-years away. This distance would take more than a month even if traveling at super light speed. Angels usually use the Stargate channel to pass quickly. While Kesha and Yan were positioning themselves, Binghua was also scanning the surroundings, but due to the limitations of this body, she was unable to use the Eye of Insight, which she was not used to. But even so, Binghua still smelled a hint of conspiracy. This place was too suitable for an ambush. It was difficult for super warriors to obtain energy supplies here, and they could only rely on their own genetic engines to convert dark energy. This prevents the super soldiers from swaying their energy unscrupulously, and almost abolishes the Angel's large-scale destruction ability. But after more than half an hour, there were still no enemies around, which made the alert Angels on the Sky Blade relax a little. "We can't wait any longer, Xin. How long will it take for us to use the space jump to reach the battlefield in the Edge Galaxy?" Facing Kesha's inquiry, Zhixin began to calculate and gave a time after a moment. "Queen Keisha, it will take us a day to jump to the nearest Stargate channel, and then it will take several hours to reach the battlefield. While Xian spoke, he called up Angel's star map, marking the distance between the Skyblade and the Stargate of the nearest galaxy, as well as the location of the battlefield in the Edge galaxy. The two took an extra half circle in the route, but this was the most time-saving route, because without passing through the Stargate passage, it would take 5 days for the Skyblade to jump to the battlefield. As the route was determined, the Skyblade began to broadcast information about the upcoming space jump to the approaching Coalition warships, asking them to keep up and not fall behind. Immediately, the Skyblade began to gather energy, and the space-time deflection shield was reduced to its lowest power. After more than a minute, the Skyblade emitted a burst of energy, opening a wormhole in the void ahead that was large enough for the Skyblade to pass through. But just as the Tianren began to sail into the wormhole, the cosmic space not far away suddenly flashed a blue stream of light, and the next moment a Tiangong flagship suddenly appeared from the exploding blue energy particles. Immediately, several purple energy rays streaked across the Skyblade, causing ripples on the space-time deflection shield. Just like a signal, streaks of blue light came from the dark deep space of the universe and exploded in the space around the Skyblade, revealing warships of different sizes. The next second, a barrage immediately covered the Skyblade that was rushing into the space wormhole. The fire generated by the continuous explosions immediately rose up on the Skyblade's shield. Interferenced by external energy, the open space wormhole began to become unstable. I thought it wasn't coming. Stop jumping in space, activate defense mode, and fight back with all your strength. Keisha stopped the Skyblade's space jump and ordered Yan to organize a counterattack, while Xian, as a scientific research angel, stayed behind to stabilize the Skyblade's operation. Let me see next, there are all those monsters and monsters who choose to wade into this muddy water. No matter who they are, since they choose to be with Huaye, just kill them all. After killing Huaye, go find the civilization behind them and slowly liquidate them. Binghua's idea was much simpler and cruder. He picked up the decomposition sword in his hand, which was the only melee weapon equipped with this machine, and planned to go out. Binghua, how can you surprise some people by going out like this? Put on your helmet, we will go out together later. Kesha's mouth curved, and Binghua also smiled after hearing the words. He caught the standard Angel Warrior helmet thrown by the Angel Warrior and put it on, and pulled down the visor to cover his face. Faced with the continuous bombardment from the densely packed warships around, the Skyblade's space-time deflection shield could not sustain it for too long, so the Marrow Guards were already ready to break into the enemy fleet group. At the same time, in the flagship of the Tiangong Palace, Huaye was standing high on the throne, and below him were Snow, the representative of the Styx, Crocodile God Thornton, Wolf God Hus, Fallen Angel Carmen, Gluttonous King Howl, and Giant Wolf King, waiting for a group of Styx gods and Void Warriors equipped with Void engines. On the other side were several male angel generals and war gods under Huaye, as well as the strongest warrior of the Tianding people, the projection of the Titan God King, and a dozen mysterious people wrapped tightly around their bodies. But without exception, except for the Styx Void Warriors equipped with Void engines, those in this hall at the lowest level are all war gods who have been famous in the known universe for many years. Carl, you are really capable, you were able to pull Kesha's flagship out of the space channel. Now she lost her angel army and fell into our siege alone. Let's see how she can escape from the palm of my hand. King Huaye, it's better to stop talking nonsense. We should immediately attack the Skyblade and capture the Holy Kesha, otherwise things will change later. A battle god wearing a mask and cloak that concealed his secret message spoke out, his tone a little urgent. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 999. Who are you? It's not your turn to dictate what I do. Huaye suddenly became unhappy. After choking on the words of the war god who didn't know the details, he looked at the projection of Karl, the god of death, who had not made any comment and was standing there quietly. "Karl, you have the best method, can you open the shield of Skyblade? As far as I know, that thing is very hard, and it will take an unknown amount of time to explode just by bombing it with firepower." Huaye's mind was extremely clear at the moment. It could be said that since he took over his father's throne, his thinking had never been as vivid as it is today. Therefore, when the Shen Yuan plan began, Huaye considered almost all aspects of the matter. The most troublesome thing now is how to break through the shield of the Skyblade. The Skyblade's shield uses a very special algorithm, which can evenly distribute the attack received by a single point to the entire shield. If you want to destroy it, other than a frontal attack, there is no way to destroy it. Karl began to learn more about the principles of the Angel's space-time deflection shield, but before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Huaye. "What I need now is a way to break into the Skyblade, but I don't have the time to listen to you talking about these incomprehensible things. It's really stupid. If you don't analyze the principles clearly, how can you destroy a technological creation of this level?" Karl shook his head slightly, obviously unhappy that his explanation was interrupted, but he also knew that now was not the time to dwell on this. "Let your Titan ship hit the Skyblade's shield with its hull. The space-time deflection shield is very effective in resisting energy attacks, but its resistance to physical kinetic energy is far inferior to the above point. However, be careful to concentrate and be quick, otherwise the kinetic energy will be dissipated by the time and space deflection shield, and this move will not be useful when the Skyblade reacts." Karl gave a solution, but Huaye frowned. After negotiation, the Titans agreed to lend Huaye several vacant Titan ships for the implementation of this plan. Soon the personnel inside the 3 Titan ships, which were nearly half the size of the Tianren, were vacated. Under the operation of the automatic navigation system built by Huaye's scientific research angels, several Titan ships were covered by fire from surrounding friendly forces, rushing towards the Skyblade. Naturally, the Skyblade discovered the approaching Titan ship and immediately focused fire on it to destroy them. But as a supergiant ship, only one size smaller than an ordinary Skyblade, how could the Titan be so easy to destroy? In the end, the Titan ship, whose hull was burning with explosive flames, hit the Skyblade, causing a spreading shock wave. The Skyblade was even hit and moved backwards for a certain distance. However, the space-time deflection shield is still strong and protects the Skyblade within it. However, only Angels Hickson, who is responsible for the operation of the Skyblade, knows that the strength of the Skyblade's shield dropped by nearly 3 points after the collision just now. 1. 2 more collisions followed, and the Skyblade's shield became precarious and began to appear and disappear. Huaye saw that the space-time deflection shield of the Tianren was gradually recovering, so he directly asked the Tiangong flagship to turn the shield to maximum power and hit it. This time was different from the previous times. The newly restored space-time deflection shield collided with the shield of the Tiangong flagship, and a violent energy reaction occurred. While a dazzling flash erupted, energy arcs continued to escape to the surroundings. The Merlot guards, who were preparing to attack, had to stop their actions because of this sudden change. After a stalemate for tens of seconds, it ended with the Tiangong flagship's shield being overloaded first, but then the Tiangong flagship's hull collision became the straw that broke the camel's back. The Skyblade's space-time deflection shield was overloaded, and it took time to redistribute energy to construct it, while the Tiangong flagship collided with the Skyblade with unabated force. The 2 holy and majestic celestial battleships collided, and the movement produced was astonishing. With the broken wreckage flying everywhere, the wings on the side of the Tianren directly penetrated into the Tiangong flagship, almost destroying a third of the ship. Cut off the body. However, the wings used by the Tianren to open wormholes for rapid deployment were therefore declared scrapped, making it difficult to repair during wartime. As the Skyblade's shield was broken, the surrounding warships immediately launched non-stop bombardments on the Skyblade's undefended hull. Sitting on her throne and feeling the trembling of the entire palace, Kesha knew that the Skyblade's defense system had been paralyzed, and what was left was the most brutal hand-to-hand confrontation. Binghua, who was beside the throne, also frowned. It seemed that Karl was more prepared than they imagined. Just as the morale of the Hui-Styx alliance was rising, an angel suddenly broke through the fire cloud formed by the explosion and quickly flew out towards the fleet group. Immediately, the fleet group that bombarded the Skyblade began to erupt with dazzling flames. One by one, the high-ranking angels belonging to the Merlo guards continued to use flame bombardments to destroy the surrounding enemy warships. Although they numbered less than 1,000, they still turned the fleet brought by Huaya upside down. The bombing of the Skyblade could no longer continue, and they could only disperse and defend themselves at the same time. How come so many high-level angels suddenly appeared? Huaya cursed. The reason why he reacted so violently was because the battleships that were destroyed were all those that obeyed his orders. King Huaya is just an insignificant subordinate. The most important thing now is Holy Kesha. At this time, someone reminded, Huaya also reacted after hearing the words. The most important thing now is to kill the Holy Kesha and complete the beheading of the King of Angels. Otherwise, the Shen Yuan plan, which was carried out at such a high cost, would be in vain. Let's go, come with me, let's break into the Skyblade. I don't believe that bitch Kesha can stay hidden forever. Huaya said, spreading his wings, holding his king's sword and flying towards the most eye-catching angel palace on the Skyblade, followed by a group of war gods. The reason why Huaya is so stubborn is that the battle gods who follow him give him the confidence, otherwise he would not be so bold and go directly to find trouble with Kesha. Huaya did not encounter any obstacles along the way. It seemed that all the defensive forces were going to disrupt the fleet, so without any effort, Huaya and the other war gods came to the closed door of the angel palace. Huaya raised his foot and knocked down the closed door, revealing the palace hall, which although somewhat damaged inside, was still well preserved overall. Its style and specifications were very similar to the Merlot Hall. In the deepest part of the hall, on the eye-catching throne, Kesha was sitting there with a calm expression. In front of her were dozens of high-level angels holding flaming swords on guard. On both sides of Kesha are the new sacred wings, and an unknown angel stands with a sword on the left side of the back of the throne. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1000. Hey, Kesha, you didn't run away. Do you really want to meet me and renew our relationship? As long as you are willing to throw yourself into my arms, all my previous rudeness to you will be wiped out. Huaya stepped into the palace hall, and a group of war gods followed behind him. With so many roast geese, am I in heaven? When the crocodile god Sotan saw so many angels, he shed his tears all over the floor, and Hus kicked him on the side. What are you doing? I want you to be careful, the roast goose here can prick your mouth. Wolf god Hus was much calmer than Thornton. Through his unique detection ability, he noticed that none of the angels in this hall were easy to mess with. Moreover, the angel who fought equally with their brother last time is also here. Just for this reason, he will be beaten next time. Looking at the farce below, Kesha crossed her legs together, looked down at Huaya and the other battle gods, and sneered. We haven't seen each other for more than 10,000 years, and you only have this mouth that can make my mood fluctuate a little bit. Judging from your appearance, these crooked melons and cracked dates behind you are the reason why you dare to break into my palace. You really don't know what to say. Didn't Karl tell you what it means to stand in front of me? Before Huaya could say anything, a master god who didn't know that civilization could not help but jump out behind him. Holy Kesha, don't be too arrogant. We have more than 20 war gods. Do you think that these little angels around you can protect you? Hua looked at the guy following him with some displeasure, wanting to kick him in the face. Didn't you see that he was reminiscing about the past with Kesha? Why did you interrupt? Oh, do you think so? There was a slight hint of loneliness in the corner of Kesha's mouth. She raised her right index finger on the armrest of the throne, and suddenly a silver blade more than 1 meter long came out directly from the chest of the civilized god who jumped out. This sudden change caused the surrounding war gods to immediately stay away from the unlucky guy who was unfortunately skewered by a silver blade. Look, all I need to do to kill you is move my fingers. Is this your so-called advantage? While Kesha was speaking, the pierced civilized god suddenly let out a miserable wail, and the silver blade spread out from his wound like a blooming flower. In the end, in front of everyone's eyes, the civilized god turned into pieces of flesh and fell to the ground, gradually turning into scattered light particles. The so-called divine body was no better than a mortal in front of Kesha's silver blade. Binghua, who was standing on the left side behind Kesha, had to sigh at Huaye's stupidity. Kesha has never hidden her ability, which is the sacred realm. The closer she is to Kesha, the faster she can carry the silver blade and silver wings. Hua didn't know what he was thinking. When he came up, he led a group of war gods and ran to a range of less than 500 meters in front of Kesha. It would be strange if he was not cut into fools by Kesha's silver wings. Hua was also a little panicked when he saw this. He didn't care about talking to Kesha, and kept observing the surroundings suspiciously, for fear of being stabbed to the core by the silver blade that suddenly appeared. The other battle gods on the scene were similar. Seeing this scene, Kesha almost laughed at them. Could it be that Karl wanted to rely on these guys to deal with him? Didn't he send them here specially to tease her? Forget it, since you are so miserable, let's go to hell together and reflect on where we went wrong. Just as Kesha raised her hand, the light in the angel palace suddenly became a little dim, and Huaye's voice sounded. Redefine space, change the space medium, and modify the wormhole generation sequence. A circle of golden light curtains spread quickly, covering the surrounding area of more than 10 kilometers, and Kesha's movement of carrying the silver blade stopped. Is this what you rely on? This function is quite interesting. When Huaye saw that Kesha couldn't carry the silver blade, he immediately burst into laughter. How about it? I am no longer the same as I was more than 20,000 years ago. It's indeed different, you make me feel more disgusted than before. And it's just fun. The moment the words fell, a golden energy shockwave exploded with Kesha as the center, and the originally changed space medium and wormhole generation sequence were forcibly reversed. The secondary biological engine is not only equipped by Yan He Leng. As the most cutting-edge creation of the angel civilization, there is no reason why Kesha should not equip it. Huaye suddenly panicked when he saw this, and quickly shouted to Karl on the other side through the communication channel. What to do? What to do? The method you mentioned is completely useless. Are you trying to trick me on purpose? The current situation is indeed beyond my expectation. Although the method is different, Kesha should also have something similar to the black hole engine. It seems that the Shinai plan needs to make some small changes. After saying this, Karl fell silent, which made Huaye even more panicked. Seeing that Huaye's expression was not right, Kesha immediately understood. She raised her hand and a handful of silver blades flashing with silver cold light emerged from the wormhole, aiming at Huaye and the other war gods. It seems that you were abandoned by that guy Karl. It's really sad. In the end, it's me who thinks highly of you. At best, you are just a pawn used to step on minefields. Binghua found that it seemed that he didn't need to take action at all. Kesha alone could kill all the enemies present, but at this moment Karl's voice sounded. Queen Kesha, you misunderstood me when you said this. I will never abandon my partners. It's just that the situation just now was beyond my expectation, and I need some time to adjust some data. After Carl's words fell, the surrounding light became slightly dim again, and the wormhole formation sequence reversed by the suborganism engine was modified again. Kesha once again lost the ability to remotely open the wormhole and transport the silver blade, frowning as she looked at the projection of Carl that appeared at the collapsed gate. Big Clock, it seems that you no longer intend to hide. In this case, the righteous order will declare war on the Styx. From today on, the Styx galaxy will be the biggest enemy of the angel civilization, and the angels will spare no effort to attack you. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the angel civilization that has lost you is nothing in the universe. The bitter fruit brewed by the angels so far will eventually come back to the angel civilization. After saying that, Carl's projection became a little unstable, and the computing power suppression of the big clock was actually resisted by Kesha's treasure house of sacred knowledge. Are you surprised? The big clock is very powerful, but Angel's supercomputer is not a vegetarian. I have spent more than 10,000 years optimizing it, not just for it to break down at critical moments. Although most of Kesha's computing power is used to compete with Carl's large clock computing power interference, she does not lose much combat ability. That is to say, the sacred realm has been greatly affected and cannot carry the silver blade too accurately. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1001. The ones who felt the deepest feeling were Huaya and the other battle gods who were under attack. Kesha could only quickly transport the silver blades within a few meters of herself, and then use them to attack the enemy. Huaya quickly waved the weapon in his hand to block the cutting silver blade. Most of the other war gods chose to dodge. They did not have weapons that could withstand Ansu's silver cutting. Seeing Kesha being suppressed by Carl, Huaya immediately felt relieved and pointed his weapon at Kesha on the throne. Now is the time to kill holy Kesha, charge with me. After saying that, Huaya flew directly into the air and fanned his angel wings to fly towards the throne where Kesha was. Protect Queen Kesha. Seeing this, the high-ranking angels guarding in front of the throne immediately moved. Several high-ranking angels flew up together, and the flaming swords in their hands slashed down with blazing fire. Upon seeing this, Huaya made a sweeping sweep, and the several high-level angels blocking his path flew backwards and fell back to the ground under the burst of energy. But Kesha was still sitting on her throne with a calm expression, not moved at all by Huaya's approaching sword. Just when Yan and Len were about to stop them, a figure rushed out faster than them. After a deafening roar, a ring-shaped shockwave spread violently, making the clothes of the two people present rattle. Looking at the angel warrior in front of him who was holding his attack, Huaya felt a sense of familiarity. Who are you to dare to stop this king? We haven't seen each other for more than 10,000 years. It seems that you have forgotten me. After the words fell, a faint blue flame appeared on the edge of the angel's wings on Binghua's back, exploding with huge thrust. With this new power, Binghua pushed away the heavy sword in Huaya's hand, turned around and kicked Huaya to the floor of the hall below with a sweeping kick. At this time, there was already a fight in the hall, because anyone with a discerning eye could see that Holy Kesha was now competing with the god of death, Carl, for their computing power in the dark plane, and they were at their weakest. If they don't take advantage of this moment to kill the most dangerous guy, they will be the ones who die when the other party frees their hands after a while. So the main gods of various civilizations tried their best to break through the obstruction of high-level angels, but the reality was more cruel than they imagined. It only takes 3 or 4 high-level angels to hold back a civilized god. The crocodile god Thornton and the wolf god Hus approached the angel Len, hoping to get back to where they were last time. Angel Yan stopped Snow, who was approaching quietly, and lightning flashed between him and his figure. The only one left beside Kesha is the holy right wing, Zhixin. Because she is not very good at fighting, her main responsibility is to maintain the counter-attack firepower of the entire Sky Blade. Binghua did not pay attention to the battle situation in other areas. She believed in Kesha and the angel warriors who stayed here. A sudden blue horizontal energy slash flew from below. Binghua cut it in half with a slash, and the rest of the force blasted 2 large holes out of the dome of the palace. You came out of there again and dared to block my way. Huaye got up from the ground. The slash just now was made by him. At this moment, he was angry and anxious. He just wanted to kill Kesha quickly, but he had no intention of getting entangled with the angel whose name he didn't know. Binghua's face showed a hint of astonishment after hearing this, but he quickly recovered. If you don't remember me, then I'll let you think about it carefully. After Binghua finished speaking, the angel wings behind him shrank, and his whole body fell rapidly like a meteorite. Huaye quickly moved to one side, only to hear a roar, broken stones flying everywhere, and a cold light reflected out the next second. Huaye subconsciously raised his sword, and with a clang, a sword-like blade hit the weapon he had set up. The terrifying force forced him to almost kneel down on one knee. The spreading shockwave caused the ground more than 10 meters around to roll up slightly. Before Huaye could counterattack, Binghua landed several heavy chops in succession, making Huaye stagger and almost fall to the ground. The originally flat ground of the palace was filled with fine cracks like glass due to the confrontation between the two, as if it would be shattered into pieces in the next moment. Huaye's tenacity exceeded Binghua's expectations. Although the output of this body was not as high as the real third-generation divine body, it was not much different. You must know that Huaye's hand-to-hand combat skills are not very good in Binghua's impression. You are much stronger than before. At least you are good at what you do. When Binghua attacked, he still had time to speak. Huaye, who was trying his best to defend himself, was distracted when he heard this and was kicked by Binghua in the face. He rolled his eyes and flew out of the angel palace. Binghua was about to give chase when 2 approaching war gods attacked from both sides holding god-killing weapons. Their intention was very obvious, they wanted to kill Binghua, the angel warrior who looked very powerful. When Binghua saw this, the angel wings behind her directly wrapped her body, blocking the sneak attack of the 2 war gods. When the opponent was stunned, the closed angel wings suddenly unfolded, and with Binghua's movements, like 2 sharp blades were rotated and chopped out. Caught off guard, one of the 2 war gods reacted quickly to block the cut with the sword in his hand, but the other one couldn't, and a section of his forearm was cut off directly. It was only then that the 2 war gods who attacked Binghua clearly saw where the angel's energy wings were behind Binghua. They were clearly a pair of metal wings shining with sharp silver light. Just when Binghua was briefly delayed, the battle situation changed again, and Snow and other war gods changed opponents. After all, Angel Yan was inexperienced and could not see it in a one-on-one battle with Snow, but when he was entangled by several war gods, he became a little confused. The lightning that was originally coming and going was also severely reduced by the special weapon of a war god. Slowly, under the pressure of several opponents, Yan was forced out of the angel palace and could no longer defend the flanks of Kesha's throne. But Kesha didn't care about this, it was just a matter of moving her fingers. In this short moment, 2 careless war gods fell in front of Kesha's throne steps. Karl watched all this with cold eyes, but his mind was actually more focused on the high-level angels running around in the outside world. The fleets around here were originally used as cannon fodder to consume the energy of Kesha and her guardian angels in the Godfall plan. Now that the Marrow Guards are mixed up like this, they have become a mess. Let alone consume Kesha, they will not be used by my Luo Guards. If the Luo Guards were defeated, they would be strong. Thinking of this, Karl directly crossed Huaye and issued an order to the Dowdy Fleet, Giant Wolf Fleet and some fleets of the Styx civilization in the battlefield, asking them to abandon the forces entangled with the Marrow Guards. After about 1/3 of the troops were successfully mobilized, Karl operated the big clock with the thought to relax the suppression on Kesha, and directly used a large-scale space transfer. Tiangong, Doughty, Giant Wolf, and the fleets that were entangled with the Merlot guards were directly swallowed by a space rift that opened, and then the rift quickly moved away from the star field. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1002. Suddenly, the originally chaotic battlefield became quiet, with only a few high-ranking angels of the Merlot Guard left. They could no longer afford to make any trouble. As a price, during the period when Karl relaxed his control over Kesha's computing power, there were 3 fewer civilized war gods participating in the Godfall plan. If they hadn't known that they would be liquidated by the angel civilization afterwards, the other civilization chief gods who participated in this plan would have fled long ago, but they secretly scolded Huaya and Karl with considerable consensus. Didn't you say that this divine fall plan is foolproof? So what's going on now? Huaya, as the main force, was picked off by an unknown angel with a sword. Kesha even killed them indiscriminately. A total of 5 civilized gods who stood at the top of the universe were killed like chickens, without even leaving a last word. Kesha, who was chasing a civilized god with more than a dozen silver blades, felt that familiar feeling coming back, knowing that Karl was consuming his computing power again and compressing her sacred domain. But Kesha just smiled contemptuously at this. The sacred realm only increased her attack range, but it didn't strengthen her much. If it shrinks, she will shrink. She is still not easy to mess with. And in this way, Karl couldn't do anything but watch. With a bang, the walls of the palace collapsed, and the crocodile god Thornton jumped out of the ruins with a disgraced look. Roast goose, why are you slapping me in the face? I'm going to get angry. Crocodile god Thornton said sternly with red eyes and sneered coldly. I just slapped you in the face, what can you do? Hit me back if you can, otherwise don't beep like that again. After Angel Leng said that, she turned around and swept aside the axe staff that Wolf God Hus had smashed down. She raised her leg and kicked it back. Although she had an advantage overall, she was unable to quickly take away the pair of living treasures. Down. Even though they called each other ugly, they cooperated very well with each other, and the wolf god holding an axe and staff could use his energy-driven attack to weaken the strength of her divine body to a certain extent. If she is struck by the big axe in the hand of the crocodile god Thornton at this time, her divine body will probably be injured, and things will not be good then. Now is not the past. If the divine body is really injured, there will be no chance of repair in a short time. A big hole was knocked out of the dome of the palace again, and Angel Chase gritted his teeth and flew out the fallen angel Comedii. Those who betray the blood of angels and associate with evil, I will kill you with the sword today. Really, I hope you can do it, instead of you withering in my hands. Kamen said with a smile, as he was just here to make up the numbers, he didn't want to face the mighty holy Kesha in the universe. Just as the angel chased him and flew out of the palace, he didn't plan to go back. Rather than risking being killed at any time by staying there, wouldn't it be nice to have a good exchange of feelings with the beautiful female angel in front of you outside? In the palace, Binghua did not give up after repelling the 2 war gods who sneaked up on her. She immediately found the main god of civilization whose arm was cut off by her wings. Under the stunned gaze of the opponent, Binghua easily pushed aside the opponent's blocked weapon, broke through his divine body's defense, and the weapon in his hand sank into his chest. It was only then that the civilized god behind Binghua reacted to the rescue and forced Binghua back, but it was already too late. Although the weapon in Binghua's hand was not a god-killing weapon, it was a decomposition sword equipped with a molecular disintegration force field. As long as it is hit and destroys the surface structure, the decomposition force field energy released by the sword body will begin to destroy the stability of the molecular structure from the inside out, causing the accumulated molecules to collapse like sand. Although it is not a god-killing weapon, it is better than a god-killing weapon. It can be regarded as one of the highly lethal weapons equipped by Binghua for this body with few attack methods. It is mainly to make up for its ability to kill the god's body. Seeing that the injured civilization master wanted to use super genes to resist the decomposition of the decomposition field, Binghua said coldly. It's useless, unless you can figure out the principle. You can only watch yourself slowly turning into dust in fear and despair. This is your punishment for daring to offend the King of Angels. After saying that, Binghua spread out her metal wings that had lost her disguise and flew towards the outside of the palace without even looking. As soon as they left the palace, they encountered a dense mass of orbital airdrop pods rushing towards the Tianren at great speed. Binghua swung her sword to destroy the incoming airdrop pods, but more airdrop pods passed over her and smashed into the angel palace and outer wall behind her, from which Doughty, a giant wolf soldier wearing power armor, jumped out. What do you think? Hearing this, Binghua turned around and struck down with her sword. The huge reaction caused her and Huaye to step back. Your voice sounds familiar. Take off your helmet and let me take a good look at who you are. In this way, King Xian might be able to spare your life after killing Kesha and let you taste the ultimate happiness. Huaye was not injured except for a faint chew mark on his face. After all, the divine body has extremely strong defense capabilities against weapons other than the god-killing martial arts. Really? Don't break your promise, Huaye. After hearing what Huaye said, Binghua no longer planned to hide, because now it didn't matter whether he concealed his identity or not. When Huaye saw Binghua's true appearance behind his helmet and visor, he pointed at Binghua and trembled. You, why are you here? What you said is a bit strange. I am an angel, why can't I be here? Now, King Huaye, do you still want to save my life and let me experience the ultimate happiness? Binghua chuckled and said, although she had a lot of murderous intentions towards Huaye, she still felt a little happy when she saw Huaye's nostalgic face after a long time, and couldn't help but want to tease him. Huaye really wanted to scold him at this moment. How did Carl collect the information? Why didn't he tell him that Binghua was here too? In fact, Carl, who was paying attention to Huaye, was so shocked that Binghua suddenly revealed his identity that his heart almost stopped, because the Shen Yuan plan revolved around Kesha. If Binghua, an outsider, doesn't handle it properly, the Shen Yuan plan will be messed up. Not to mention killing the holy Kesha, maybe everything invested today will be trapped here. Thinking of Carl, he immediately contacted Snow, who was looking for an opportunity to take action against Kesha. Snow, the plan has changed. Something happened on Huaye's side. Priority is given to assisting Huaye in dealing with the Heavenly Sword King. I approve your use of void bombs. Upon hearing this, Snow put away the god-killing sniper rifle that had been set up, disappeared and quickly came outside the palace, set up the god-killing sniper rifle again, and at the same time loaded one of the two void bullets into the sniper rifle. Middle. On the other side, Huaye also received Carl's covert communication. If you don't want to be torn into pieces by the Heavenly Sword King, just do as I say, don't get entangled with her, just use the mimic black hole to trap her. As long as the Heavenly Sword King is restrained, I can destroy her. Huaye swallowed and nodded imperceptibly. Of course he knew not to get entangled with Binghua. I remember that more than 20,000 years ago, when I was the King of Angels, how majestic and powerful I was. The opponent was just an insignificant female rebel angel, but just like that, I not only lost the important king's sword, but also an arm. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1003. Why, you weren't scared before, but now you're scared when I just take off my helmet. If you dare to lead troops to invade the Order of Justice and attack Kesha, don't you dare to take action against me? Binghua raised his sword and pointed it at Huaya, with a hint of contempt in his eyes. You, Binghuaqian, don't be too confident. I am no longer the same person I was before. As Huaya finished speaking, he secretly ordered in the communication. Quickly, come here to protect me. Several Tiangong Imperial guards who were rushing here heard the order and rushed over to protect him. Binghua took a step back, and the moment he passed by the male angel who was thrusting towards him, he suddenly swung the disintegrating sword in his hand, leaving a gap in his body. Before the remaining male angels could get closer, more than a dozen feather-like flying blades detached from the metal wings behind Binghua and flew towards the approaching male angels. Following Binghua's sight, these flying blades flexibly changed directions in the air, piercing into gaps in the armor of the Tiangong Imperial Guards at blind spots in their defense. After several screams, a group of Tiangong guards who came over turned into corpses, which made Huaya look a little ugly. Why, you only sent a few minions to die, why don't you, the king, take action? Binghua stood in the sky, with flying blades returning automatically behind her. This scene made Huaya feel extremely stressed. He had just seen that those small flying blades were not simple, they should be god-killing weapons, otherwise it would not be possible to explain why the Tiangong guards under his command lost their vitality so quickly. Feeling that he was being humiliated, Huaya became fierce. He held the dark energy in his left hand and gathered it in his palm. In a moment, a dark sphere devouring light was formed. Seeing this, Binghua's originally relaxed expression condensed, and she began to secretly become wary. Aren't you awesome? Let me see how you handle this. Huaya shouted angrily, and the surface of his body was blessed with a layer of blue energy. The whole person quickly rushed towards Binghua's position. Seeing this, Binghua stepped back and distanced herself. The metal wings on her back quickly separated into pieces of flying blades, which flew towards the approaching Huaya under her control. Huaya was a little scared at first, but after discovering that all the flying blades flying towards him were sucked towards the mimic black hole in his hand, his confidence greatly increased, and he immediately pushed the mimic black hole towards Binghua even faster. Binghua naturally saw the scene where the flying blade she operated was crushed and disappeared by the gravitational singularity in Huaya's hand. As a veteran of playing with force fields and gravity, she instantly understood what it was. At this moment, Huaya suddenly increased the energy supply to the mimetic black hole, and at the same time redefined the physical rules around him so that he would not be affected by the gravity of the mimetic black hole. At this time, Karl also took action. He allocated part of his computing power, took over the control of part of the mimetic black hole, and concentrated the gravitational range of the mimetic black hole in the direction of the ice flower as much as possible. In an instant, Binghua noticed that his speed was getting slower and slower. He felt that if he continued like this, he would be captured by the mimetic black hole. Binghua began to increase the output of the metal wings on his back. The faint blue flame originally attached to the metal wings suddenly became dazzling, but this only slowed down her retreat. The angel palace below also began to be affected by the gravitational pull of the simulated black hole at this time, and some tiny matter and debris began to float upward. This moment attracted the attention of the angels who were in a ball in the angel palace and the battle god on the Styx side. No, the teacher is in danger. Angel Leng raised his head and saw Binghua, who was slowly being pulled towards the mimetic black hole, leaving his opponent behind and rushing upwards at high speed. Oh! Don't run away. I haven't hit you in the face yet. Crocodile god Sotan opened his mouth to curse in anger. After jumping a few times, he found that he could not fly and had no choice but to give up the pursuit. Binghua also noticed Angel Leng approaching, and shouted directly. Don't come here, you will be captured by gravity no matter how close you are, and I won't be able to save you then. Angel Leng Vinian could only stop where he was anxiously, resisting the gravity from the mimetic black hole, and finally could only gather energy to throw out several flame bombardments one after another. but they all fell into the sea without any fluctuation, which made Leng feel powerless and angry. Kesha below also stood up from her throne and looked up at the simulated black hole in the space above the palace. With a move of her hand, the king's life appeared and was held in her hand. The secondary biological engine is started, the target black hole is being solved. Kesha frowned after calculating for a while. She couldn't figure out the result in a short time. Fortunately, she directly imported a formula she had constructed. The black hole diffusing program is being constructed, the construction is completed, and the attack is ready. The Wang sword Wang Ming in Kesha's hand was raised and aimed at the sky. The golden energy quickly gathered and turned into a cone-shaped energy jet that rushed towards the position of the simulated black hole. This sudden change made it impossible for the war gods on the Styx side near Kesha to stop it. Because they were afraid of Kesha's silver blade, they were all far away from Kesha's position. Karl naturally discovered the energy jet that Kesha sent out that contained conceptual modifications, and felt nervous. But the next moment, the mimetic black hole was only affected for a moment and returned to normal again. Kesha put down the royal life in her hand with a little regret, feeling a pity that she could not resolve the mimetic black hole. But Kesha's move gave Binghua a moment of breathing time. The flying wings behind him once again broke away from some flying blades, but this time they did not attack Huaya again, but stuck to Binghua's right arm, combined into a shape similar to an arm cannon. The next second, a nearly transparent blue energy blasted out from the muzzle, and was detonated by Binghua before it was about to reach the position of the mimic black hole. The mimetic black hole that was slowly growing began to slowly stop emitting gravity. Under the influence of the diffuse almost transparent blue energy, the surrounding space began to become disconnected from the surrounding area to a degree visible to the naked eye. This is exactly the kind of energy that Binghua accidentally created through the sub-biological engine some time ago. It can slow down the movement of molecules and achieve an effect that is almost like stopping time. But it is only close to time standing still, so the space-time around the mimetic black hole is just stagnant, and the mimetic black hole itself cannot be resolved at all. It can be said that Binghua is simply stalling for time now, because with her current body and equipment, she can't think of any way to solve the mimetic black hole. There are gravitational nodes and space-jumping technology in Semilo's database, but unfortunately this prototype body is not equipped with the above-mentioned functional devices. But what Binghua doesn't know is that she is the best target of Snow, who is hiding in the dark. Aim the god-killing sniper rifle at Binghua. Because the gravity of the simulated black hole disappears, this is the best time to generate a wormhole and snipe. After confirming the formation of the wormhole, Snow, who had been authorized by Karl, decisively pulled the trigger. As the muzzle vibrated, a slender silver void bullet was fired from the muzzle. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1004. Binghua was thinking about how to rely on the purification energy core in his body to find a way to annihilate this simulated black hole. After thinking about it, the limitations of the mechanical body were too great. Not only is it unable to use the driving algorithm, because without the genetic engine, it cannot even use the sacred language, let alone open the arsenal. There are only a few weapons in the whole body, among which the disintegrating sword is a close combat weapon, and nearly half of the flying feathers have been lost. As for the living metal, this situation is of no use at all. The remaining purification rays and stasis field rays also have no decisive effect. Just when Binghua was thinking about this, the fluctuation of the micro wormhole suddenly appeared beside her, and Binghua subconsciously looked to the side. A silver bullet suddenly shot out of the void, and the moment it hit Binghua's chest, it was blocked by the blue purifying energy field. No matter how it drilled forward, it could not penetrate the translucent barrier covering Binghua's body. Binghua also breathed a sigh of relief when he saw this. Semilo's technology was quite unique. Before the energy was exhausted, the body's defense capability was extremely powerful. But what Binghua didn't notice was that Carl remotely activated the miniature void engine contained in the void bomb. Ominous blue energy suddenly bloomed from the void bomb, covering an area several meters around Binghua. Start the Styx void engine, redefine space, build void barriers, reflect light energy, anti-dark energy, anti-biological energy, anti-mechanical energy. A series of preset formulas that Carl had installed in the void engine in advance were activated, and the physical rules around Binghua were tampered with in an instant. The body that was originally controlled by an arm could not move. A series of error messages popped up in the line of sight. All external energy supplies were lost, and the purification core energy supply was spontaneously activated. The outside world showed that after Binghua took a bullet and was wrapped in Yalan's energy, he seemed to have lost consciousness and became motionless. Why wasn't it broken down? Carl was a little confused. The void bullet also had the effect of killing gods and could destroy the super gene. Logically speaking, after Binghua lost his ability to resist, his body should gradually decompose. Teacher. Seeing this scene, Angel Leng rushed towards Binghua, wanting to protect her body. However, Leng had to dodge as several rounds of armor-piercing bullets were launched, because she had just seen that her teacher lost the ability to resist after just one bullet. Huaye was overjoyed when he saw this scene, and once again increased the output of the mimic black hole. This time Binghua was quickly pulled in the direction of the mimic black hole. Kesha wasn't too worried about Binghua, because she knew the inside story. This was not Binghua's body at all. Even if something happened, it would just be an insignificant clone. But the other angels present were different. Except for the angels who didn't know Binghua's identity, who felt sad and angry about the death of a sister, the angels who knew Binghua, such as Yan and Zhixin, felt in disbelief. The King of Heavenly Sword is the legendary angel, the first holy left wing. His achievements are comparable to those of Queen Keisha, but he was assassinated and fell. Just when everyone was surprised by the power of the void bomb, Binghua, who was about to be sucked into the mimetic black hole, restarted his body, and each system also performed self-tests and regained its ability to move. But it was already too late. At this moment, the ice flower was already extremely close to the mimic black hole and could not escape its gravitational capture range. How about it, Binghua? I have said it before, I am no longer who I was before, and now you are about to fall into the black hole I created. What else do you have to say? At this moment, Huaye swept away his previous fear, and his body and mind were filled with unprecedented self-confidence. Isn't Binghua amazing? She would still fall into his hands. Binghua's body began to tremble, unable to withstand the pull and distortion at the molecular level from the nearby mimetic black hole. However, because the material that made up the body was quite strong and the protection of the purifying energy field prevented it from immediately breaking apart. But soon after Binghua first came into contact with the mimetic black hole's decomposition sword, Binghua and his own weapons began to be gradually torn into molecular level fragments, like dust, being sucked into the mimetic black hole. Huaye, you must maintain your good mood now. We will meet again soon. Even though he was trapped in a mimetic black hole, Binghua's voice still echoed in this space. He did not say any cruel words, nor was he unwilling before his death. Only these words with unknown meaning echoed in Huaye's ears for a long time. The next moment, Binghua's figure completely disappeared, and the mimic black hole began to gradually become smaller, and finally disappeared into the void, as if it had never appeared again. Huaye also slumped in the same place as if he was overworked, his chest heaving violently. Ever since he saw Binghua's true face, his tense mind relaxed. At the same time, Huaye also felt that a big mountain weighing on his heart disappeared, and at the same time, another thought emerged in his mind. Binghua had allowed himself and Carl to die together, so taking down Holy Kesha was no problem. At this moment, the sky blade was already scarred, and its hull was covered with shallow pits left by the attack. but even so, it still stood firm in the void, showing no signs of disintegrating. Although the disappearance of Binghua caused the morale of the angels to drop a bit, they still resisted tenaciously. However, with the death of the few high-level angels of the Merlot Guard left on the periphery, with only Kesha, Divine Wings, and a small number of high-level angel guards left, the decline has begun to show. Because following Doughty, the Tiangong Group's ground forces and air forces boarded the Tianren, and the only remaining angels were surrounded. With the space wormhole blocked, energy unable to be quickly replenished, and the blockade constructed by the gods of various civilizations, it is difficult for ordinary angels to break out. Even though the angel warriors have a powerful combat power that can defeat 10,000 people, they are not perpetual motion machines after all. When the first high-level angel was unable to sustain his energy and was penetrated by the inferior god-killing weapon in Doughty's hands and fell to the ground, the angel's casualties began to increase rapidly. At this moment, several hours have passed since Binghua was swallowed by the mimic black hole. The corpses of Doughty, giant wolves, and beast warriors have covered the entire angel palace and the surrounding ground, and there is not even a place for people to step down. The only clean place was around the throne where Kesha was. It was still as clean as it was at the beginning, with no blood spattered on it. Queen Kesha, please hold on for a while longer. I will arrive in your star field soon. Listening to Hexy's anxious words in the communication, Kesha smiled. No need to waste your efforts, He-11. Since they chose this place to trap me, they are naturally confident that the reinforcements from Merlot Heavenly Court will not be able to reach here before killing me. Kesha slammed the royal sword in her hand towards the ground beside her and exhaled heavily. Under her throne, the broken weapons of more than 10 civilizational gods were inserted into the ground. The corpses of thousands of guard angels were telling the cruelty of the battle. At this time, no matter how the male guard angels, gluttonous warriors, and the officers behind them urged them, the army stopped moving forward. No one wanted to die in vain.